What's up, YouTube? Uh, Very exciting news, which I'm sure all of you know of, with the upcoming Blue Eye support, and just very good time to be a Yu-Gi-Oh fan. I would say I was kind of in a little bit of a rut there for a while with how bad the format was, but got a new ban list coming out. Have nothing but optimistic hopes for that, and especially because of the Blue Eyes support coming out. Now, Blue Eyes is by far my favorite deck. I mean, my first regional that I won was in 2016 when Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon came out. So now seeing the announcement of Blue Eyes Spirit Ultimate Dragon, it's insane. So these cards you can test on dual books, but I don't like dual books. I prefer Omega. There's a little bit of glitches with Omega, but at least I made two different versions of the deck so far that I just wanted to show in a deck profile, and then have some videos upcoming on test hands and combos and everything with the deck, which I'm sure you've seen plenty of. One I kind of made on my own, and one I've more a single version using Dragon's Ravine. So let me get into the profile. So this is probably a common one that you've seen already. YouTubers and Twitch guy did this already, showing about using Ancient Fairy Dragon, but pretty much here's the deck profile. So you just need 2 Blue Eyes White Dragons. You don't need 3. Being a huge Blue Eyes fan, I hate seeing only 2. I would obviously rather see 3, which I have in my other deck, but this is kind of be more based off a single version. So the deck profile and side deck I pretty much got figured out. Just the extra deck is I'm still twinkling with. But anyways, for the main deck, Blue Eyes Abyss in this version of the deck, in this combo, you don't need it because you can get Chaos Max in the graveyard with Dragon's Ravine, but he's just good for follow-up because having him on the field after you've already used Chaos Max to fusion summon into Magia, then if you keep Abyss on the field, Abyss is going to get you Chaos Form, and then it'll add you Max back, so you have Chaos Max for follow-up to finish your opponent off. So that's why I like having both of them. So these are like the only bricks in the deck, right? I mean, obviously some of the hand traps can be bricks too, but the only main bricks are the 2 Blue Eyes, Abyss, and Chaos Max, which you can all use them as discard material too. So just seeing one's on a brick, but if you see multiple, it could be hurtful. So your best starter is the Sage of Blue. You definitely want 3. Basically, this whole deck, all routes lead to Sage of Blue, so that's who you want to start with. If you don't have access to him right away, you can still combo pretty good and get a pretty good board, if not full combo. You just need 1 Master Eyes of Blue, so for full combo, this is what you want to use off your second normal summon to special Sage with Eyes of Blue back, and then use it to target Maiden of White to special out Abyss. That's how you're getting Abyss on the field. So you get Abyss on the field with either Sage with Eyes of Blue or with Saga Blue Eye Dragon. Because this being a special summon Blue Eyes Dragon, you always don't need, because you can send one to the graveyard and special summon off of the new Link one. You need for sure Maiden of White. The 3 most important cards are the new cards. Those are your starters, are Sage, Maiden of White, and then Neo Kaiser Seahorse. He's huge because the thing is, he's full combo on his own too. If you need to, you can discard Maiden of White once he's sent to graveyard, but usually I like to use him to discard Blue Eyes Chaos Max, get Max in the graveyard for fusion material into Magia. In my other profile I'll show, I don't use the Dragon's Ravine because you can actually send Max to the graveyard if you open him. There's no way to guarantee you're going to search this card, unfortunately. So it's not a guarantee. So that's why you want to make sure that, running Blue Eyes Abyss, I have another deck. But in this, like I said, this version of the deck, don't really need him. I just have him for like extra follow-up. And then I got the 3 Mochami cards. So obviously the new Mochami didn't come out yet, but by the time that this structure deck comes out, we're going to have him. So I'm test playing with the 2 of them so far, and the current Mochami, Porelia, however you pronounce that, but he's the water one. It's already out. Really just running 1 because of cross out, because I'm running 3 cross out here. Hopefully cross out doesn't get banned, because this deck will need cross out. I'll talk about more in the combos, but it's very vulnerable to Ash. In some situations, Ash will shut the whole combo down. Nib will hit if the right spot will shut you down completely and prevent you from making any board, and shifter for sure too, dimension shifter. But I have hopes that dimension shifter is going to be banned. Yeah, three of these just maining. If you main more than 3, it's gonna be too much of a brick. But I think 3 is good enough because that's what you see in Master Duel is 3 Max C. So you got 2 Max C and then plus him, and then I have the third one in the side deck plus the second one. I don't really think you'd need 6 of each. That's probably too much for just a 45 card deck. If I went to like a 50 or 60 card deck, maybe I'd go 3 of each. But I think there's not enough cards to work with this deck to get you to Sage. If there was more stuff to get you to Sage, I would consider it, but I don't think so. You have the bingo, but I've tried test playing with this deck a lot and working with the ratios, and yeah, adding one more bingo machine is not going to help you if you go up to a 50 or a 60 card deck with this, so I don't recommend that. 2 Ash, because Ash, again, you want it as a crossout target. Ash is only once per turn, so that's why I'm only running it. The Mokshamis, if you don't know, they're not once per turn, so they're twice. So if you draw 2 or each of these, you can use them both. That's why, again, I was considering maining 3 of this one and 2 of this one, but it kind of messed with the ratios, so I don't like it. I think just 3 is enough, but I'll be obviously test playing with it once the cards actually come out. 3 Effect Veiler, because Effect Veiler actually does help in your combo, and it's searchable. And with it not being once per turn, so that's the one hand trap you do want to main 3 of if you're running crossouts. If you're not running crossouts and you want to be ballsy about it, then obviously you can run 3 Ash and 3 Nib and even maybe more of the Mokshamis. But I like the idea of just mating the crossouts. If I'm going second, I'll definitely take out the crossouts to put in more hand traps for sure. And then 2 Nib, because again, you can draw into the Nib. You don't need to main 3 because you can draw into it. I probably might cut the 3rd Nib for something else on the side. I just don't know what yet. But I'm pretty confident with everything else I got here. But you probably don't need it because with Mokshamis, like just in Master Duel, when you run Max C, running more than 2 Nibs is just not necessary because you're going to probably draw into it. But yeah, having 3 of the new Mokshami and then 2 of the current one, that's pretty good odds to draw into Nib for sure. The only other hand trap is just 1 Imperv in the main as a crossout target. And yes, Imperv, the best hand trap, but I just don't feel it's as necessary in this deck just because you really want to open Effect Veiler, and I have the 2 in the side that I'd put in for going second. But again, possibly might change the ratios with this deck. If I could go up to more than 50, 45 cards, I might, but I kind of like it at 45. Then the other 3 ofs you need, definitely the Prayers with Eyes of Blue. This is the most important new Blue Eyes spell that came out. The Saga is good too, but not as huge as Prayers. The effect to add any of the tuners, any level 1 tuners, is huge. If this could add any card that mentioned Blue Eyes, that would be insane, because then you could add Neo Kaiser, and it would give you. Then you would have no need to run Dragon's Ravine in any version of the deck. But it doesn't, so that's why it could be tougher to get into Magia if you don't open the right hand. Where Dragon's Ravine, running that plus Ancient Fairy is going to give you a guaranteed access to Magia. So yeah, very important. If you don't, sometimes you don't even need Saga in the combo because you're able to get the Blue Eyes special summon enough through the Link 1, and he doesn't really come up, and then you can use this to special summon out Blue Eyes Abyss. So not as important, but still a great card. So with Prayers, the secondary effect is insane. So the secondary effect to banish and then to attach a Blue Eyes ultimate to a Blue Eyes on the field, that's how you get the ultimate in the graveyard to get into Magia. Burst of Stream of Destruction, this is just discard material, adding it once you banish Mausoleum or White from the graveyard. 2 Bingo Machines just for consistency. So Bingo Machine is what I'm going to be using to add either Prayers or Saga. I tried to test with 1 and 1 wasn't enough. I kind of was still bricking, but I've seen the most consistency in this deck by having 2 Bingos to add either Prayers or Saga. It can obviously add Ultimate Fusion too. In my other version of the deck, I'm running 3 Ultimate Fusion, but this, not many fusions in this version, more focused on the synchros. So I think, yeah, two is more than enough. Obviously, Saga Blue, or the Blue Eye Dragon, you need 3 of, just because that's your special summon to get another Blue Eyes on field. Its secondary effect to Fusion Summon doesn't really come up because you need everything in your hand or field, where obviously Ultimate Fusion's better. And in this version of the deck, I'm only running 2 just because you only need 1 for your combo, but the other one's just for follow-up, for grind game. I've seen a lot of versions of this deck where people are playing it for the most consistency and creating a huge, awesome board right away, but then there's no follow-up whatsoever. And without having a second Ultimate Fusion, you have no way to win in the grind game whatsoever. So that's what I'm considering right away, is how to win in the grind game with this deck, because in the best of 3 format, people are going to side in cards and they're going to break your board if you go first or stop you from making a board. So 2 Ultimate Fusion I think is a must. The 2 field spells you need, so Mausoleum of White is what you're adding off of Spirit, and then Dragon Ravine is what you're adding once you use Ancient Fairy Dragon to pop Mausoleum of White. And like I said, banish Mausoleum of White from graveyard to add Burst, Stream of Destruction. This is like a Raigeki, so I guess you could use it if you're going second, but I'm just using it to discard off of Dragon's Ravine to send Chaos Max to graveyard. If you do the combo right, you can get into Magia before your 5th summon, so your Magia right there is going to be your protection from Nib. So, even if they have Nib plus Imperv, you can negate the Nib and then negate the Imperv. But if they have Nib plus Effect Veiler, yeah, then your board's getting wiped either way. So again, that's why I have these extra stuff to protect it. Synchro Rumble, very important for the combo. You do, if you don't need the extra tune on the graveyard, sometimes also just the extra card in the field to tag with Master of Blue. So Master of Blue's effect in the graveyard is insane. This card recycles itself, where you're sending it back to the deck from the graveyard by sending any card on the field to the graveyard. So if you're an extra tuner you don't need, or it's a way to get Kaiser in the graveyard if you didn't get in the graveyard already by making Spirit Eyes of Blue with it. And then you can bring out one of the Blue Eye Spirit Dragons from the graveyard or anything else. I mean, sometimes you can keep this in the graveyard for follow-up if you've made a huge board and don't need to go any farther or don't extend. So it definitely is good follow-up, but most of the time you're using it in your combo. Chaos Form, again, and not a necessity, and not a card you need. I like having, again, for the grind game, because when I'm bringing out Abyss is adding this, and then it's either a discard you can use to discard off of Prayers or off of Dragon's Ravine, or for follow-up, to kill my opponent next turn, because I'm going to probably have Chaos Max in my hand and a Blue Eyes in the graveyard. So just having an untargetable, not being able to destroy card that inflicts double piercing damage is insane. Right? So even though he's mainly fusion material for Magia, don't forget he's a crazy boss monster on his own. The last part of the deck is going to be the Call By and the 3 Crossout. Again, like I said, this deck loses, hard loses to Shifter for sure. Don't have any Shifter in here, so that's probably what I might do, is take out the Nib, the third Nib for a Shifter if Shifter doesn't get banned. But it will lose to hard lose to Nib and Shifter for sure. Droll and Lockboard does hard lose too for sure. So just about every hand trap, unfortunately. So it's a good meta deck that's consistent, but it loses to pretty many hand traps. But you can play through Imperv, Effect Veiler, and Ash pretty well. So with the wrong hand, one Ash can stop you. But most of the time, what I've been seeing, the only thing that really is going to stop you is going to be Nib, Droll and Lockbird. Even Droll and Lockbird probably won't shut you down completely. You can still make a decent board. But Nib for sure and Dimension Shifter are going to be the biggest weakness. So that's why having the crossouts in the main I think is important. I'd only take them out if I know I'm going second. And then, like I mentioned before, the one Imperv just as a crossout target. But I definitely put in the 2. Once I take out the 3 crossouts for going second, I'd probably take out the 3 crossouts and probably the Call By and just put in 2 Impervs and then the 2 other Mochami cards. Possibly a Nib, but it depends. But in that case, probably even the Ash Blossom too, and put in the Nib and the 2 Droll, something like that. So, anyways, the last card is the True Light. True Light, where you only need 1 of, because even if your opponent does destroy it, then you can bring it back and set it to the field just by sending Maiden White from your hand or graveyard. So Maiden White does set True Light from hand, graveyard, or field. I mean, hand, graveyard, or deck, which is insane. So you never ever need more than 1 True Light, which is awesome. Unless, I guess, someone's playing Cosmic Cyclone and banishes it, but at that point, you know, that's not going to come up that much. The extra deck, most of it I got figured out. The only thing I'm not sure about is if I want more than 2 Spirit with white, the Link 1s. I have a feeling you can probably just use 1, but I think it might come up in the grind game where you need it for the extra special summon of a Blue Eyes from your graveyard. In this version of the deck, the fact that I'm popping the Mausoleum of white and not going to be able to send another Blue Eyes to the graveyard that way, I don't think it's as necessary, but like I said, I just have it there for now. Obviously, you need the 1 Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon to send. I'll talk about it in my other video, but you don't have to use Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon to make Magia. It's actually better in this version of the deck if you don't use Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, because you can use 3 Blue Eyes monsters, so shuffling back your Spirit Dragons or whatever you have for follow-up and for the grind game is huge, right? The Blue Eyes Alternative Ultimate Dragon, obviously I'm not going to either hard make either of these two because I don't have 3 Blue Eyes monsters or Blue Eyes White Dragons. You know, these don't count as Blue Eyes White Dragon in the graveyard. This is to special summon if they get rid of Magia. So Magia's kind of got effect like Mirror Jade once it leaves the field, and it doesn't say, and the crazy thing is it doesn't say fusion summon card, right? Or I mean, yeah, you're right. Like Mirror Jade would say, it says if this card in its owner's control leaves the field because of an opponent's card. So whether it gets banished, destroyed, you get to special summon a Blue Eyes from the extra deck or graveyard, any Blue Eyes monster or a Chaos monster, which you're probably not going to have him in the graveyard anyway, so that's not going to come up, right? But you can actually special, so once he leaves the field, you can bring out Alternative Ultimate Dragon. And now Alternative Ultimate, just like Chaos Max, can't be targeted and can't be destroyed. And 4,500 attack, that's very hard to beat over. I mean, if they have a non-targeting bounce, that's the only way to really get rid of it, which I don't know many cards that do that. I mean, Labyrinth, big welcome. That's about it that I know of. I guess some people feel free to comment below what actually can out Blue Eyes Alternative Ultimate Dragon, except for big welcome Labyrinth or attacking over it. Right? I mean, a Kaiju, obviously, but I mean, something that's like an engine for a deck that's going to out that. I don't think many. I would have a problem outing it. I couldn't out it with Kashtira, that's for sure. I'm running 2 Magia. Hopefully, obviously, the price comes down on Magia. I only have a single card of this because it's $600. But I think 2 is great for the grind game because the thing is, it's a way for you to shuffle back your fusion. So that's what the 2 ultimate fusions are for, is for both Magia. I'm never using these to make either of these 2 fusions. They're just, you know, discard material and you know, a special summon into Magia. But I think, you know, because like I said, you're making 1 to the first combo and then second one to send back. So with Magia requires 3, not Blue Eyes White Dragons, Blue Eyes monsters. So you can send back the Blue Eyes Spirit and you can send back the Ultimate. So that's what's huge. That's why, and I'll skip right to this, is I only think you need 1 Blue Eyes Ultimate. I've seen a lot of lists so far showing 2. And pretty much you can have like an endless cycle of Magia leaving the field to special summon Blue Eyes Spirit. Blue Eyes Spirit leaving the field to special summon Magia. So it's just going back and between the 2. And neither of these cards, unlike with Blue Eyes Spirit, it says that you can only tribute this synchro summon card. Both Blue Eyes Spirit and Magia their effects don't require the card to be synchro summoned or fusion summoned. It's just as long as they're on the field, their effects are active, including the effect at the end that if it gets destroyed, it brings back a light dragon. So Magia will bring back any Blue Eyes monster from the graveyard, and then Blue Eyes Spirit brings back a light dragon. So light dragon right there, you just bring back Magia. Other reason I don't think you need more than 1 Blue Eyes Spirit is because like I said, you can shuffle back Blue Eye Spirit off of Fusion Summoning Magia. So if after my board gets broken, if I need to bring out Magia again, I would use the Ravine to send a card in the hand, to send out another Chaos Max back to the graveyard, or it's probably already in my hand off of Abyss, and then use my second Ultimate Fusion to send back the Chaos Max plus Blue Eyes Ultimate and like 2 of the Blue Eye Spirits to make Magia. So I don't think you need more with that. This absolutely 1 card in extra. You need 3 of most combos. You're using all 3 the first turn, and shuffling them back is huge. They're big extenders, and sometimes you want to end on even 1 Blue Eye Spirit by bringing it back to special summon it off of Master with Eyes of Blue. Crimson Dragon, huge. Crimson Dragon adding Synchro Rumble is great. Also, its ability to tag out. Tagging into Cosmic Blazer is who you're always coming up with. The Stardust Dragon I show in my other deck, and that's what I might do with this deck too. Now, you don't need to tag into him, but this Stardust Cypher, the Divine Dragon, is insane just because if you tag into Crimson and then tag into Spirit during your turn before the end phase, if it would be destroyed by Blue Eye Spirit's effect, having him on the field is huge because it protects everything from destruction the first time, along with protecting True Light if True Light is attempted to be like Lightning Stormed or Heavy Storm, which watch out, Heavy Storm's coming back to 1. I know that for sure, so that's why I already have it in here. So that's what people are going to try to do to get rid of your board, is just out the True Light, right? So out in the True Light, this is what's protecting you. So probably the only thing I'm thinking with the extra deck, or this deck in general, I would change is only running 1 Spirit and then having Stardust in there instead. But and then as another end of boss monster, right? But you don't need to use Crimson to make the Stardust. You can just tag out Blue Eye Spirit into him, which is crazy. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way in Omega because there's a glitch with it, but you can tag out Blue Eye Spirit into Stardust Synchro, or maybe you can't. No, I don't know. No, hold on. That might be right actually. 1 tuner must be Synchro summoned. I guess someone's got the answer here in the comments, but must be Synchro summoned, and yeah, Blue Eye Spirit does not Synchro summon, so that actually might be correct. I've seen some people making him, and the thing is, yeah, I don't think you can. I think, yeah, he has to be Synchro summoned. So, yeah, so this only tributes to make. So these don't require to be. This is the same thing. It doesn't say it has to be Synchro summoned. So any card that says it must be Synchro summoned. Crimson Dragon does count as a Synchro summon, so that's what you can make it. So you can't tag into him for sure that way. Which actually, that's what I'm probably going to change to here, because I don't know if that's needed in a grind game. I just like him so much. We're gonna throw this bad boy in here. He's huge. Say that. Okay. And yeah, I said I might regret that later when I figure this out. But I think 2 Magia is huge. But I only think you need 1 Spirit. As far as the extra deck, the side deck, I should say, this is just kind of like just putting it there. I know for sure 3 Droll and then the extra Mokshamis and the 3rd Ash is necessary. The 3rd Nib, maybe not. Definitely the 2 Improvs. But with the fact that I'm running the Mokshamis, I don't think I need Cosmic or anything like that. I'm going to have enough to draw into Nib to wipe the board and the hand traps to stop them, and just like board breakers. I don't think Cosmic's necessary. I think just having Lightning Storm, Harpies, and Heavy Storm is enough for back row decks. And then the only 2 things to add is just the Raigeki to wipe the board. But again, not sure if this is something I'm going to stick with as far as side deck changing, but I do like the actual main deck. The main deck has a really good flow. I'm going to show a combo and test hands with both of them. But like I said, the one thing I just changed here, right, as looking at this list, is just this card. Yeah, he's insane. Cypher, protecting everything from destruction. Obviously, Cosmic's huge. I'm not putting in no Calamity. I actually like to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And not just turn Skip-de-Doo. So, there's no Calamity here. I think Calamity's going to get banned, but even if it does, I'm not doing that. Like, that's stupid. I'd rather play the game. And plus, if you're ending, your end board is typically going to be Magia plus 1 Blue Eye Spirit, plus Blue Eye Spirit Ultimate, and then plus one of these two, and then probably Stardust in the field too. So that's probably why I don't need this one, because the Stardust protects from that. So actually I might even go back, because I am ending on the regular Stardust Dragon, which will protect True Light. So probably don't need him because of that. So we'll probably change that back, because I do have the other version of the deck with him in it, and I like that version a lot better. So let's actually just take this out and say that's there again. Good. Alright. Any questions, concerns, let me know. I'd love to hear your guys' comments on what you think about this deck profile so far. I'm going to show the other deck profile, which I like the other one better, and do some test hands with both. Peace.